Peace, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. Definitely want to thank you for being here. And good morning to you. It is 7:30 in the morning right now here. Well, 7:31 in the morning here on this morning podcast. But everyone who has the ability to see me had the ability to wake up. So good morning to you. Life is definitely life is worth living, but it's how you live it. Peace. Good morning, Miss Selena. Life is worth living, but how do you live it? That's the question. Um, so I want to. I saw it online this morning, and it was a very interesting question. And let me make sure I can find it. Okay, I think I remember it. So I was reading something, and it said, "Peace. Good morning, Miss Barry. Good morning, Miss Fisher." Uh, I was reading something, and it had a question. They said there's five frogs sitting on a log, and four of the frogs decide to jump. So now my question to you is, how many frogs are left? Five frogs on a log. Four frogs decide to jump. Peace. Good morning, Miss Myers. Four frogs decide to jump. So how many frogs are left on the log? That's the question that's proposed to you. I know it might be early. Let me ask me these questions this early in the morning. I don't feel like thinking right now. But the question is, five frogs on the log, four other frogs decide to jump. So how many frogs are left on the log? I got it wrong. But as I began to read into it, I was like, okay, bet. I see it. I understand it. Five frogs on the log, four decide to jump. How many frogs are left on the log? So I'll leave that alone. I don't see nobody answer yet. So I'm going to put that question out there and you answer it how you see it. And I'll come back to it. All right. So today we're going to be talking about moving in action. Okay. Ms. Barry said one is left. I'll let that fester. So today we're going to be talking about moving in action. And yeah, we're going to jump into it. Okay. Two people said one. After we go through it, I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to let y'all fester on that. Okay. So moving in action, you make a decision to dump. Look at you, Miss Myers. She's smart. There's five frogs left. The answer is five because nobody jumped. Four of them made a decision to jump because they sat there and made a decision, but they didn't jump. So that's the answer. All five are still there. So y'all can take that answer and y'all can take that question and ask other people today just to see, what their answer is going to be. Five frogs on a log. Four of the frogs decide to jump. How many frogs are left on the log? It's not four of the frogs made the decision to jump, because two mean four of the frogs made a decision to jump, but they did not jump. They still stayed there. All right, so transparent moment. Yeah. So moving in action, I was supposed to do something and I didn't do it. And I feel kind of convicted about it. Really convicted, especially in these definitions. So it kind of stumped what I was going to talk about, because there's a level of conviction there with it. So the definition of moving is make progress, develop in a particular manner or direction. And because moving is is progress. There's lateral movements, there's things that you can move and shift from left to right, but progressive movement is a direction that you take forward. It is not something, it's like if you can imagine a football field, I can throw the ball from sideline to sideline, but yet there is still no progress. There is action that was taken, but there is still no progress. That means you threw the ball 50 yards from sideline to sideline, but progress doesn't take place until you throw it north and south, until you put yourself in a position to move something forward or to develop something in a direction that is progressive. So that is moving. So then when you're talking about action, you're talking about in definition is the state or process of doing something or being active, or the movement or posture during some physical activity. So the contrast here is a state of process of movement, because there is a distinct reason why movement is in the word action, just like moving is progressive and it is developmental, because movement and moving is taking you in a direction that is changing your trajectory as you have the ability to course correct. So just like when you're dealing with your own personal convictions, or you're dealing because personal convictions takes transparency of you seeing something that you were supposed to do, or actions that you were supposed to take, but yet you did not do it. So moving in action is progressive. Moving in action is still course correct. Moving in action is you identifying the things that you need to do when you're in that state or process of moving, or that state or process of movement. Because like those frogs that was on the log, they all was postured. They're sitting on the log. All of them were postured to move. 4 of them made a distinct decision, but it was really just a thought, because they were in the posture or the state of doing. But until they do, then that's when they take the action. So initially I was going to talk about 4 ways of move in action, or moving in action, but I only came up with 2 only because there was something I didn't do. Again, just a transparent moment. So the one thing that I want to, the first thing that I want to hit home with is stop, get up, and do it. And I say that because a lot of times when it's on my mind, I know it's not just me, but when it's on my mind, if I don't do it in that moment, there is a large chance that I will forget. It's not it's not that I had intentions on not doing it, but I know how my mind process things, and I know how things take place, like distractions and all this other stuff. But if I don't just stop what I'm doing and go take action on it, then I know that there is a great chance that it won't get done. And I know it's not just me. So if that's you too, I mean, stand on that. Be transparent enough to stand on that. But the first step in moving in action is to take action. Stop, get up, and do it. Do it because there is a goal that is set, and there is a activity that need to take place in order for progress to take place, in order for progression to take place, because there is progression in movement just like there is movement in action. And the number 2 thing, because I supposed to have 4, but I only have 2 because I started to feel convicted. It's like, how can I bring something to the table to you if I'm still battling with the action, but I'm transparent enough to battle with the action and open, just like I said yesterday, living living out loud. So the next thing is to set a specific time frame. So if you're getting up and doing it, set a specific time frame. Say, okay, I want to have this done or accomplished at this time. And then you set those performance measures, or you set those postures up in order for you to complete that particular task. Because when you're being specific with a particular time frame, there is a process that you must do in order for you to accomplish that thing itself. Because when you set something, that means you are actively engaged in the process. That means you are understanding what your gifts and talents or what your shortcomings are, because you're actively wanting to get it done and you're actively wanting to do it. So you're being as specific as possible with the time frame that you've created for you to accomplish that particular goal. Again, just transparent moment. Yeah. So how do you live in action? That's another question that's proposed. How do you live in action? What performance measures do you set for yourself when you're striving to build or rebuild? So as I began to make way to the studio to design what I'm going to be speaking about, and there were things and words that was coming in my mind, like when you're moving in action, you still have the ability to uh, create and recreate. You still have the ability to design and redesign. You still have the ability to grow, just as well as you have the ability to develop and redevelop. And the thing for me was, at that moment when you understand that there was actions that you should have taken, what do you do? I didn't really understand course correct until there was a change in course that had to be mentally developed, because course correct happens after you are convicted on certain things, or there is a change in a direction, whether it was life changes or financial changes or physical changes, whatever it is. There is a course correct. You can be on course or focused on something, but when the correction is there, a lot of the correction comes after there is a conviction. But I'm gonna leave that alone. Yeah. So Mr. Cooper said one thing to consider is to answer the questions. What will happen if I don't move? That's true. That's true. What would happen if you didn't move? What would happen if you did not make the decision to move? It's a trickle effect, because you didn't move, or because I didn't move, I felt convicted. I felt like I felt the hurt, because for me, I hate when I forget something. I hate it. I have a strong dislike when I forget something. I have a strong dislike when I lose something, because I feel I'm better than that, but I'm not so good that I cannot uh, feel open enough to be convicted to make it right or to make it better. But yeah, that's just my personal things. But again, I know it's not just me. I'm just living out loud right now. So uh, moving in action, has to have intentions. It has to have positive intentions on doing it. And when you move in progression, move forward. Don't always take lateral movements, because lateral movements is not going to get you to the destination. Lateral movements could be in doubt, fear, or forgetful. But yeah, I'm going to leave that alone. So action. Let's move in action. I'll say that. Let's move in action. I know it's not just me. Let's move in action. Because when we move in action, then we're progressing and we're moving forward. But you guys be blessed. Here at Consistency is Currency every morning, weekday morning here at 7:30. I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all be blessed. Peace.